This passage influenced the great poet Francis Thompson, who was a drug addict, was on opium, though given a genius mind and applied to Oxford, was turned down 2 or 3 times because he couldn't shake his opium habit. He would live in 2 places, at Charing Cross, hanging out with the losers and the lost, buying his drugs, selling pencils, bootlaces, and all of that, to buy the drugs, to keep that habit going as an addict. At night, he would wrap his dirty raincoat around him in the chill nights and sleep by the River Thames, Charing Cross and Thames, Charing Cross and Thames. He's the one who wrote, I fled him down the nights and down the days. I fled him down the arches of the years. I fled him down the labyrinthine ways of my mind. And in the midst of tears, I hid from him. And under running laughter, adown titanic glooms of fear, up vista'd hopes I spread, running from those strong feet that followed after. But one of his greatest pieces of poetry was called The Kingdom of God. He wrote this, O world invisible, we view thee. O world intangible, we touch thee. O world unknowable, we know thee. Inapprehensible, we clutch thee. Does a fish soar to find the ocean? An eagle plunge to find the air? Do we ask of the stars in motion if they have rumor of thee there? Not whether wheeling systems darken or our benumbed conceiving soars. The drift of pinions would we hearken, beats on our own clay-shuttered doors. The angels keep their ancient places, touch but a stone and start a wing. 'Tis ye, 'tis your strange faces that amidst the many splendored thing. But when so sad thou canst not sadder, crying upon thy so sore loss, shall shine the traffic of Jacob's ladder between heaven and Charing Cross. Yea, in the night, my soul, my daughter, cry clutching heaven by the hems, lo, Christ walking on the water, not of Gennesaret, but Thames. Imagine that. The same imagery of the ladder was given in the New Testament as well, as the Son of Man and the angels ascending and descending. Communion with God. God will track you down no matter how far you run, if you will only pause long enough to know He's nearer to you than you realize. They talk about the hiddenness of God. We need to talk a lot more about the obviousness of God. He's here, and He's like the hound of heaven, keeps following you, following you, following you. I can guarantee you that this room will never end with testimonies tonight if we opened up the microphone to say how God met us in a place where we never ever dreamed He would catch up with us. Of all the places I never dreamed of meeting God was on my bed of suicide when I was 17 years old. He followed me right to that bed. Whenever I go to Delhi, I always rent a taxi alone, and I go and park in front of the hospital. It used to be called Wellington Hospital then. It's not called Ramnath Lohia Hospital or something like that. I park in front of that, and I just look in there, and I say, Lord, this is where it all happened. When I was just 17. God is following you. If you're running from Him today, stop. He's got a ladder towards you, and He wants you to look up and know He's trying to get you to commune with Him. I want to close with a prayer by Michel Quist, the French mystic. I want you to give me your undivided attention. It's a powerful prayer. I have fallen, Lord, once more. I cannot go on. I will never succeed. I'm ashamed and I don't dare look at you, Lord. And yet I've struggled, for I knew you were right near me, bending over me, watching. But temptation blew in like a hurricane, and instead of looking at you, I turned my head away. I stepped aside, while you stood silent and sorrowful, like the spurned fiancé who sees his loved one carried off by his rival. When the wind died down as suddenly as it had arisen, when the lightning ceased after proudly streaking the darkness, all of a sudden, Lord, I found myself alone, ashamed, disgusted with my sin in my hands. This sin that I selected as a customer selects his purchase. This sin that I've paid for but cannot return because the storekeeper is no longer there. This tasteless sin, this odious sin, this sin that now sickens me, that I once wanted but I want no more. Lord, I imagined, sought, played with, fondled for a long time. And I finally embraced while coldly bypassing you. I embraced that sin, my arms outstretched, my eyes and heart irresistibly drawn. This sin that I've grasped and consumed with gluttony, it's mine now, but it possesses me as the spider web holds captive the fly. It's mine, sticks to me, flows in my veins, fills my heart. It has slipped in everywhere as darkness slips into the forest at dusk and fills all the patches of light. I cannot get rid of it. I run from it like the master of an unwanted and mangy dog, but it catches up with me and rubs joyfully against my legs. Everyone must notice it. I'm so ashamed, Lord, that I feel like crawling to avoid being seen. I'm ashamed of being seen by my friends. I'm ashamed of being seen by you, Lord, because you loved me, but I forgot you. I forgot you because I was thinking only of myself. And one can't think of several persons at once. One must choose. And I chose. But now your voice, your look, your love, they hurt me, they weigh me down. They weigh me down more than my sin. Lord, please don't look at me like that, because I'm naked and dirty, down and shattered with no strength left. I dare make no more promises to you. I can only stand bowed before you. Come on, son, look up. Isn't it mainly your vanity that is wounded? If you loved me, you would grieve, but you would trust me. Do you think that there's a limit to my love for you? Do you think for a moment I have stopped loving you, but you still rely on yourself, son? You must rely on me. Ask my pardon and get up quickly. You see, it's not falling that is the worst, but staying on the ground.